All right. I think we're streaming live now. This is really exciting. This is my first time using StreamYard to do the stream to YouTube. I'm getting used to this so that I can eventually stream to multiple platforms simultaneously and make it a little easier and more accessible for, well, everyone. Or at least that's the idea in practice, in theory. So, hello, I'm Merrick SYZYGY. My pronouns are it, they, and ono, and I am going to be walking you through or leading you through this first of my ritual wear workshop series, DIY Earthenwear Amulets, with me, Merrick SYZYGY. And we're going to be making amulets. You can see that there's some examples on the banner that's on the screen right now. And these are tools that you can use to wear and adorn your body, your meat suit. You can use them to adorn your altar, including your pagan Christmas trees, based on the badniak, actually. And you can also use this as a protection amulet in your car. There's all sorts of ways you can use it, especially if you seal the deal afterwards, and I will walk you through that. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, you'll want to have your tools with you, and I'll go ahead and remove that from the screen. First off, you're going to want a bowl to mix your ingredients in, and all of your ingredients can be found in your pantry. And so I got mine, I got the generic brands of all of the ingredients, which are basic flour, just your standard white flour, salt, standard table salt is perfect, least expensive option you can find, and water. You can add other things in moderation, and I'm actually going to be doing a slight experiment. I'll be mixing a standard batch live with you right now, but I'm also going to be making another small amulet out of a special batch that I made with the new moon energy. So we'll have a new moon and a full moon batch. And with the new moon batch, I had used just a little pinch of henna powder as something that my ancestors had used in various spiritual and cultural personal practices. And then there's also a little bit of other extra magic in there, according to the measurements that are prescribed. So let's get started. First, I'm going to grab my flour and salt and a glass. You're going to need some sort of glass to measure. Now, I am going to show you what I'm going to do is put a piece of tape so that I don't actually have to fill this whole thing, because you'll see the part-to-part ingredients make it really easy to make a big batch quickly. So let me go ahead and pull the measurement units for you so you can see this on the screen. And this is pretty standard. There's variations on this recipe that you can find, but there's let me see. How am I gonna? There we go. We're learning together, and this is exciting. Yeah, these units change sometimes from recipe to recipe, but this is the most common that I see recommended with good results, standard good results. All right. Here we go. Those are the measurements that you're looking for. And I am wearing my comfy clothes because I've just been working on a lot of Colo projects. I've already talked. Last night we did Aideano, Colo Diagramu, which translated into Serbo-Croatian means Kamiana, let's dance the Colo, which in the earliest iterations of the lyrics, of which there are many, because as is common with folk songs, there will be so many versions that come out. People come out with, remakes of their favorite songs nowadays. That same thing was happening back in our home villages. And so originally, most of the versions were, Yana, come, let's sell the kitchen, let's sell the house, the farm, all of our beloved livestock. Let's get rid of everything so we can focus on dancing together for the rest of our lives, which is romantic and a little bit escapist, you know, admittedly. There's a lot of intention of passion and intensity in Balkan love songs. And that's, you know, a cool thing. And maybe you want somewhere to sleep at night. I don't know. I've experienced both. I like having somewhere to sleep sometimes. It's cool. So you're going to get some tape. And I actually move into it. I'm going to use masking tape to mark a smaller portion for what we're doing here today. I'm going to do the water last. Hopefully you haven't been pouring yet, but I like to reduce how many dishes I have to do at the end. So I do my ingredients from easiest to pour to, hey, this is going to make things difficult moving forward to pour. And I'm going to make a really, really small batch of this standard ingredient. The proportions are the same, whether it's in tablespoons, teaspoons, cups, half cups, quarter cups. So if you put a quarter cup of salt, then you're going to put a half cup of flour and a quarter cup of room temperature water. So I'm going to use underneath here. It's actually on a little crooked. That's not really going to help the situation as much as if I could just... Yeah, thanks for the laughter. I've got my own little sound machine over here. And I do, I guess legally, is in the way that the government sees animals, own the rights to his snores as he's registered to me. So there's that. We've got the salt right here. It's literally the cheapest salt I could find in the store. And I'm making enough so that I, you know, oops, won't have to go around making another batch right away when I'm ready to make the mixing, because as you'll see with my pre-made batch here, you can save it. This I made several days ago, and you just leave it in the fridge in a Ziploc bag. You don't want to leave it out because then it's going to get soggy and weird because the salt will absorb the water, but you also don't want it to dry out in the fridge or absorb the weird smells in the fridge. So Ziploc it, put it in a container with a tight lid of some sort, and you can hold on to that. Now, what we're going to be doing with this, and actually I should have gone through the ritual of preparing the tools. And that's something that I wasn't sure how to approach because there's so many ways to do it based on personal practices. But let's just pause for a second to talk about that, how to do that in a non-appropriate way. If you don't know much about your ancestral lineages, I am available for hire to do that kind of research. I've done research around my lineages and helped other people with their investigations around what practices are culturally authentic to them. So I'm happy to provide that assistance to folks who aren't sure. And if you do know, then take your best known practices and you're going to use that to prepare all of your tools in advance. I did that off screen. I'm not going to necessarily do that here because it's more some of that's closed practice, but I can give you a brief walkthrough of what I would do if we were doing this together in ritual as, a shared practice, or in this case as an open practice because this will be the open version of it. So you take your clean glass, and I like to use the sunshine to do most of my cleansing. Smoke and fire are also really great, as is water. And in this case, I used all of those to prepare these tools because this is all very important initiatory stuff, and it's part of how I'm integrating deeper intention with all of my ceremonial rituals moving forward. Excuse me. Still working through flare up and related things. So, for me, as a person from the Balkans, and also of Irish, Finnic, French, German, and English lineages, and Welsh, I believe. That's just getting down to, like, there's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of nuances to these conversations. And I'm going to put that ingredients list back up while I go over this part real quick. That you can look into whatever your lineage's practices are around. Like, my people, we're animistic. We, in multiple of iterations of my lineages, but especially in the Balkans and in my Irish Celtic lineages that I've done the most work around over time. I've noticed that it's a lot of working with the sun, sun veneration, ancestor veneration, animism, earth veneration, astrological and celestial veneration, and the way that all of that is tied together into a sense of omnism or oneness. And those are common practices across several of my lineages that I've been in the practice of reclaiming, in the process of reclaiming. And so I use those sun, fire, smoke to an extent, and water as tools to cleanse. And so putting things out in the sun or in the moonlight, because we also worshipped the moon, running things under running water. And you can also use your voice to speak those affirmations over. And that is something that my ancestors have used our voices for all sorts of ritualistic purposes and cultural applications as well. So I use those methodologies. You clean your tools, speak your intentions over them, speak your intentions into the materials themselves in terms of open practices that folks can utilize, and keeping that energy and that intention throughout the practice. I also had set a candle and, light and protected the space and connecting with ancestors. So those are all things that are generally good practices and generally open concepts within multiple lineages that you can dive in deeper to explore more of the nuances on specific ways that you can do that. So, within certain practices that are closed, folks will use Palo Santo, or they'll use, lavender is not necessarily a closed one, but there's one that people use all the time, sage, that is of a lot of indigenous practices from Turtle Island. And so it's both a closed practices and respect so as not to appropriate, and a resource responsibility practice, because overutilizing resources that are not indigenous to your own ancestral practices is taking away the resources from folks to whom those practices do ancestrally belong. And you've got other stuff that you can use: mugwort, lavender, rose petals, and made into smoke cleansing bundles. Those are things that were particularly used in Anglo practices. So again, we can get into that. I'm going to put my email address up here so you know where to contact me. For making arrangements if you would like me to help you with research around these things. And I do a not a fluff system. So bartering, energy exchange to make things accessible. I know that not everyone has access to liquid assets at all times, but you might have access to other resources. Maybe you work at a dispensary and you get lots of samples of THC. I am someone who uses those for medical applications. So I will absolutely trade for that for hand poke tattoos or energy healing, massage, fascia work. Let's have conversations around how to do these exchanges because it's important to have these systems. Okay, so as to keep this consistent, I'm following the bottom end of this line because that's where it seems to be the most even. I got it pretty even across, but we're being careful. So we've cleansed, we've connected with the ancestors and who are well and wise, and our guides, and any other beings of divinely aligned intention with whom we're meant to be working right now. Also going to share this. You can call them in, I would say, personally, as and at the beginning of the process, because they can help you with creating those energetic boundaries. And to get into the nuances of how to set up ritual, I can absolutely do another workshop around that. But I want us to be respectful of the time, since I want to keep this to about an hour-long container, and we're already around the quarter way in, just over. So that's why I'm kind of taking the fast track, assuming that folks are coming in with a basic understanding of how to set a ritual space. But again, if you don't, I will be dropping that link into the caption and description of the video, as well as the comments, so that you can connect with that video later and then come back around to this with those extra tools under your belt if you need that. And you can always replay this, because that's the benefit of having this in the library archive and what part of why I'm building it. So I have my little set up here, and that little fluffy spot right there is JC. Hi, Jace. The salt is going to pour the most smoothly, so I'm doing that first. And I pray over it with a phrasing that is the emissary wheel, part of my Gnostic marriage practice, which I can get into sometime too. They did not have any cheaper flour than this, so this is what I got. But I guess I get a gold medal for that. Okay, I put a little bit extra flour than I wanted to. I don't want to pour back in the contamination. So I'm going to pour that into this container that's going to give you an offering. That's my little boogie woogie. Get that even. Putting it on a solid surface and shaking it side to side vigorously can help get it to settle, so that you can see how much product you have in there. Sorry, Jace, didn't mean to wake you up, bud. Yeah, we'll both do better, huh? Just a little bit more. That was a little bit more than I wanted, but maybe that was actually perfect. That was actually perfect. So that's going to be an offering that I end up putting into another project. So, forgetting my own recipe. It's actually supposed to be 2 cups of flour anyway, but I'm going to have to pour it in. So we're good. We're good. And I can actually pour whatever was in there. Quite as well set up as I would have had it with slightly different preparation. Be more resourceful This isn't going to be wasteful, but it's usually I've got things measured and prepared and stuff. However, I'm embracing a little bit the messy path, and also embracing that this is, you know, part of, messy path can be what happens when you're practicing expansion. There's a lot to be said for having, you know, to give the consistency that is so desired by Empire in particular. However, that consistency is built on a model that is not necessarily inherently human friendly. So there's that. Okay, and that's the second cup. So we're going to change these systems by our actions with intention. All right. We've got our salt. We've got our flour. We'll remove it so it doesn't end up all over the floor. Because I left it all too high. And now I'm going to put in a splash of full moon water because I'm making full moon amulets for this water. Yeah, buddy. I'm actually going to be right back. I'm going to grab some water from the tap. Perfection. So now we've got our cup of water to go with our 1 cup of salt and 2 cups of flour. And I'm going to do it so that I can actually mix in with my giving, my right hand, as I'm speaking into this and setting my intentions. Now, if you find that it's super runny, you can add incremental amounts of flour to get it to a more dough-like consistency, which may be something that I have to do, but I'm going to work the dough for a little bit here first, while holding that energy, that frequency, that intention. And if you find that it's just way too thick, that you might have, you know, put a little bit too much flour accidentally, then you can always add water in very small increments. I would say, because of the portions that I did, I would do 1/8 of a teaspoon increments. If you did a full cup to cup units, 1 to 2 to 1 cups, then you could do a teaspoon increment, probably, just to give you an idea of the measurements there. That would be good to start with. So as you can see, I already added a pinch of flour, and I'm adding another pinch. And these pinches are about 1/8 of a teaspoon to a quarter. You want it to be, a little bit sticky, but not so sticky that you can't function. So I don't know how, it's probably because I didn't have the tape on a perfect. Those were not exact measurements, but we make it work. We make it work. So how about them Tim guns? I'll probably rewatch this and find out, you know, something where I'm like, why did I make that pop cultural reference? Because XYZ is now known. But hopefully not. We'll see. Sometimes I become a living lesson to myself and others, as we all can find ourselves in the opportunity to do. I'm definitely going to need more flour than that seems to be. I'm grabbing a quarter cup at a time. You couldn't see it, but I only eyeballed it, so it's not like I'm depriving you of a measuring tool that I didn't use. We are getting much closer to the consistency. Actually, this could be it. Now I gotta peel and play. Some of it's getting a little bit, not dry. And I protected my space. There's a towel underneath this. I will actually need just a little bit more flour to make this dough work. And thankfully, since we're only sticking with the hour-long container today, we'll be able to still do the project since I chose the full moon. The simplest thing. We're actually going to use the cup itself for my tool to do that carving. I didn't really mention that because, as I had described in the advertisements and promotions, this is a choose your own symbolism workshop where we're doing just an energetic co-facilitation and body doubling vibe with some education and some updates. So this could be it. We'll see. Hi, Bibba. It's okay. You can go back to sleep. I'm not actually talking to you, sweetheart. I'm talking to the folks on here. My puppy. He's sleeping. He's wondering why I'm talking so much. Yeah. I told you I had a workshop right now, bud. If you want to go out and sleep in your bed, you totally could. We have a couple of beds. You have a bed and you have my bed. You okay, baby? All right. Yeah, I think we're really on the right track with this clay. Yeah. This is as close to clay as I have easy, reasonable access to in terms of like things I don't have to get on. I think it's called Kiln Friend. I don't know. I'm excited to find the website name again. And there's a way that if you want to work with actual earthen clay rather than salt dough clay that you can bake in your oven, then you could go on this website and it will tell you people who are nearby and like shops, ceramics shops, pottery shops, where they have kiln space that they'll allow you to rent out so that you can fire your projects without having to rent out a whole kiln or buy your own or get a workshop. Like you can just have a piece and say, hey, how much to put this in with your next firing? And then that's you just do that. It's great. That's what I'm talking about. Just a smidge. Well, that's not the smidge we were looking for. But it's going to be all right. It's going to work out for the best. Maybe this needs to be a denser, stiffer clay than usual for some magical reason. There we go. We're getting into it now. And again, holding that intention, even as my words are going on varying topics, I'm holding the frequency in my body, in my embodiment, in my reticular activation syndrome system running perpetually. It's our inner algorithm that our brain operates on. It's very cool stuff. Here we are with our clay, our clay dough, and right there, because it's clean, it shouldn't bother him too much. So go ahead, and you don't have to use all the clay that you got here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's still sticky. That's still nice. You can take a portion once you've got it really well incorporated, because you don't want any lumps. You don't need to overwork it, but you don't want any lumps either. And by overwork it, I mean continuing to massage it perpetually. For some people that can cause issues, I've heard. As someone who really loves to work the dough, whether I'm making bread or making ornaments and amulets, either way, it's not something I've really experienced, but we'll see. And then there will be a follow-up. So I'm obviously not going to, in this hour, in the next 30 minutes, be able to complete this project with you and then fire it in the oven. However, I will be able to, I will be doing another workshop where we do the more advanced, like I'm going to be working on, the symbol. I wonder if does my mouse let me show you what I'm pointing at? But that round symbol in the background, light brown with white, behind the Venus symbol, both of which are from the Balkans, from the area that my families are from, because I'm from multiple areas in the Balkans. We are I'm going to be working on that symbol. It's a clock. The round symbol is, or a calendar, showing the moon sun cycle for the solar and lunar year, because we were a lunisolar society, so tracking both. And I'm also going to be doing the Venus amulets on another occasion. So there'll be multiple opportunities to work on these projects together, on all sorts of projects. If you want to work on whatever you're doing while I'm working on something else, that is perfectly fine. Choose your own adventure. As for today, and it's all going to be leading up to Balkanalia. This is the QR code. Balkanalia is going to be on summer solstice, so June 20th of 2026, and we will be kolo dancing. I've been teaching kolo around 4 songs in particular we're going to do ritualistically, and then there will just be leisurely kolo in addition to that. So, other songs that I'm familiar with or I've become familiar with recently, and any special requests will go into the play as well. But we will be kolo dancing to Prelete Soko, Aideano, Miserlu, and Gorimore. And so those will be like the 4 ritual songs. And there will also be other ritual activities in the course of the 3-hour virtual event that starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And it's sliding scale. So suggested donation, and again, not a fluff muddle, but a sliding scale $111 to $333 for the 3-hour event that's going to include activations, oracle readings. You're going to be welcome to bring food if you would like. Kolo dancing, we'll be making art, we'll be talking about the summer season ahead, and I'll also be sharing the upcoming events for the summer calendar, which will be based with art, culture, food, music. All of those things are intertwined. Culture is all of those things, and art includes music and food. So those will be things that are coming up as well. But for right now, so I've got my little piece of dough. This should be plenty for a very large amulet. And Since it's going to be the moon, it's just going to be a medallion, but I'm also going to be doing the detailed, like the craters of the moon's face. I want to work some of that texture into the surface of the ornament, and that's going to be where the I don't know, the energy, the intention is coming in the artistry. So rather than just, here's a circle and we're calling it a day. You'll want to measure these to about 1/4 of an inch. If you have a ruler available, great. If not, I'll use my hand to give you some sort of reference to the best of my ability. So here we go. Oh, is that? Aha, okay. So my left ring finger, of all places, is 1 inch from knuckle to knuckle. And so I wear a medium size glove for reference. And you would go just above the knuckle would be. So it's not terribly thick to do 1/4 of an inch. A little more narrow than the width of a standard pencil, a number 2 pencil would be equivalent. And what I'm going to use to roll it out, you can use a rolling pin. I'm going to use a very firm plastic medicine bottle for digestive enzymes. So you can see this. It's a little pop-up they don't even know about. That's cool. And you're just going to roll it. And I'm actually going to roll a couple times because I want to get it to be as incorporated as possible beyond just what the rolling into a ball did. So folding it in on itself and then working it into that ball again. And then what I'm doing is I'm using firm, light, small, opposing circles with my hands and generally trying to feel it into roundness. And you don't need to make it perfectly round in your palms. You can slow down to get that, or you can roll it around on here to get some of that roundness as well. It doesn't have to be in your hands. You just want light pressure, consistent. You're just swirling it around, just giving it a swirly. Oh, here we go. Boop, boop. This gives you some more control because the wooden rolling pins and the stone ones especially can all be so heavy. And this is just, it's even flat. The water glass, that's not perfectly even, so it would have a harder time giving me a consistent thickness, which will make it a more successful project. I actually have to firm it in a little bit. Okay, let's bring that in. But that's okay, because as I'm packing it in, it's actually adding like hilliness to it. It's giving that roundness around the edges that adds a multi-dimensionality, a 3-dimensionality of it that otherwise is not as present. And remember, you're not worried, if you're doing the moon style, you're not worried about it being perfect. Our beautiful moon is an example of the perfection of our imperfections, of how beautiful our supposed flaws are. I mean, just sitting the last 2 nights singing Mesadzina with glowing, shining moonlight to the full moon in Scorpio, and being in reverence, in communion with such a powerful illuminary. It's really cool. Let's see here. I think, yeah, we are at about, oh, that's at about 1/4 inch there. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to pull it up so you can see. This is not perfectly even all around, but it's pretty close, looking like a sugar cookie. And so we're going to go ahead and just work with that's a great size. And what you may want to do is before you start getting committed to a shape, you might want to poke the holes right in then, or maybe you want to design it and then poke the hole for where you're going to be putting your cordage or wire through, whatever you choose to use to hang your ornament. You can use cord, yarn, thread. More likely embroidery floss would work better than thread, but even that would be a little bit on the weak side. So I'd say cord or yarn of some sort, jute, hemp, those all work. Or you could use a metal hook like they use for tree ornaments. And in that case, you could even use a paper clip opened and turned to accommodate looping it through and just hanging it on. That's what we did when I was a kid. Grab a bunch of them and just have at it. So now, wow, it's wild that we are already at 41 minutes in. I'm just getting some general texture right now. Because maybe your moon is like, not the Earth moon. Maybe you're making a moon on another planet. But I'm going to go ahead real quick and pull up an image of the moon from NASA. Because thankfully, the images that NASA provides are almost entirely open source, free to use, even for these purposes. So let's see here. One that's got some nice juicy texture. Ooh, we'll go with the near side. Ooh, I like this one actually. So, well, I'll download both so we can have both options available. There's that one. Oh no, that's not necessarily owned by NASA. I'm just doing a really quick run through on this. So, boop. Okay, there we go. We got a near side and a far side now. Perfection. So let me go ahead and I'm going to add first the far side image so that you can all take a look at that while I add the other media to our library really quickly. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Interesting. Let's see how that goes. Maybe that'll, oh, no, that probably won't work either, but let's find out. Let's find out. It's the energy we like to try to keep around here. My computer. Oh, not the thing I was looking for. Very strange. Don't understand why you're doing that. Enjoy the musical stylings of Merrick and Confusion while I find another NASA treat. Or maybe that's the one that, is good to keep up. Maybe I'm not meant to show the other one that I'm using. I don't know, but yeah. Great if I could. Oh, I could do, whoops. Wing pockets too. Actually, that's like multiple jingles, so that's funny that my brain went with that one. And so go ahead and work on that. I'm going to be working off of a slightly different image that is a close-up on a crater. And you are welcome to pull up a separate image, because remember, you'll be able to look back at this. They'll be in the library. This will be available publicly for 72 hours, and after that, it goes into the library with the membership. The membership is suggested minimum donation, $33 a month, not a fluff, but that's like the minimum suggested donation because it includes access to the library of a growing library of workshops, rituals, breathwork, movement, including kolo, ceremony, educational resources that I've made and acquired and curated. There are SYZYGY magazine, which is going to be replacing my work on Substack, and it will be one of those things where I will have my content also on Substack. Like, there'll be portions to show you what's in SYZYGY magazine, and I will also have some things that are I got carried away with an idea there. I will have a lot more content in there. So there'll be samplings that you can read, whole articles that you can read on Substack, but I do want to get away from Substack in general and be able to control all of my content much more easily. And they don't really push anyone's content unless you're writing pop cultural stuff, it seems, at least not right now, or fascist right-wing nonsense. And I'm not going to be posting any of that. So we'll move to Patreon for now, and then eventually to my own website for, those sorts of things. And I'm looking to do that in collaboration. So it's a network of communities in social media. So it'll either be on an existing platform, either now or soon, or it'll be something that I build with my communities that can expand to include more folks. But there's already a lot of grassroots networking happening. So I don't want to assume that there's not something great that already exists. And I'm throwing craters in here. I'm just throwing craters. The image I used wasn't working out for me quite as well as I'd hoped, but this is working out quite phenomenally now. And hoping, because I've had that sitting the wrong way, it's going to do what I want it to do with this. So seems to really get slammed around there. And there. Using this. So mine is actually going to look more like y'all's than previously anticipated if you're using the same. Sort of modeling. Making that a nice big crater. And over here too, a nice big crater. Because these were not small impacts, as you can see. So yeah, and my classes are going to be ever expanding. It's going to be in connection with the soft power community, which the Church of Soft Power has just been so instrumental in helping me in so many ways, in helping me with my healing and being a community of love and support, bringing me back into communion with my ancestors with deeper intention, because that titration of mutual intention really has impact. It's work I've been doing my entire life, but has been so much easier to commit to in the hardest of times. And being in that shared frequency has also made it so that my ancestors are, able to get through more easily than they could before. I'm more receptive than I was before. Don't neglect your edges here. Getting your textures in. And we're going to see how this turns out in terms of, like, maybe this won't be the best looking moon thing. And also, you don't have to put a hole in it. Like, maybe you're like, wow, yeah, I want to see how this looks just like without a hole. And I'm going to put it as a token on my altar. Like, you can just do that, or you're going to put it out in your garden or something. Definitely seal it with acrylic and Mod Podge. You're going to do that. Or some other, preferably nature safe sealants, so that they don't absorb the water and just crumble into nothingness, because this is salt and flour, and crumbling into nothingness is exactly what it's going to do, just like it would do in your belly if you don't protect it. So how's yours looking? This is where I'm at right now. See if I can get it, kind of mirroring. So I don't know how well these marks are going to come out. I did try to make them a little deeper than, I would, I try to do delicate line work on things. However, these are going to bake, and we know that baking anything, a cookie, whatever, will change the texture on the surface. So giving a little exaggeration to your line work if you're playing with that. And that's why I was very dramatic with some of these craters. Go ahead and really chew them up and give them some, there's ridges. It is not a gentle landscape. It's not Martian, but it's not gentle, So I am going to turn this into, let me just check my intuition what I'm going to do with this. Okay. I am meant to see if this can hang. So I'm going to about, a 1/4 inch, which a pen, from the edge, come down and mark it so that you know where that beginning mark is to drive your hole in. And you're going to press just straight, gently the whole way through. It didn't quite break through enough to see the hole perfectly. So I have a little broken, there we go, just like a whole bunch of my sweater in your face. Very exciting. I have a safety pin that had arrived in imperfect condition. And that's perfect, actually. It's in perfect condition because I've been using it for all sorts of things. Like being able to finish putting that hole through, so now I can see even you through the screen on here. And that way I can, oh, there it is on the back. You wouldn't necessarily see it without me smushing this, trying to get it held up, but open that hole so it's a workable, because it will close a little bit otherwise. There we go. And there we have, wow, at 50, we're coming up on 54 minutes, just enough time to integrate and wrap things up. Divine timing, divine aligning. So there's my hole up here that I'm going to be driving the thread through. I wanted it to be a smaller one. You could have it a little further down, but I want to experiment and see if it can sustain the weight. And we'll see. I will post pictures of this. Worst case scenario, I'll put it up on Flickr or something like that and drop that link in the comments or in the caption and description so that you can see the before and after pictures of what we're doing right now and what it looks like after I've put it in the oven. And I'll also put the recipe and the instructions for baking linked and all that, because there's a really great information thing I found on Reddit. Someone who's been making ornaments for years and years and years and has broken down all of, temperature, everything. And so like the recommendation is generally like 170 is like pretty good. They won't experience much warping. And it's like the sweet spot for salt dough, according to this recipe. So 170 degrees. And oh gosh, I'm trying to remember exactly how long. I think it was, if you oven bake exclusively, 3 to 5 hours in the oven. But this person put them in for about 6-hour sessions, 2 days in a row, because they were already baking other ornaments. They do a lot of ornament baking, thus their, timing thing. When they air dried it exclusively, they left them out for 2 days, and also said that you could leave them out for longer, but also you have to be careful because then water absorption. Air dry and oven combo, you would leave the ornament to air dry for 24 hours first, but this one puffed and curled the most. So I'm going to be doing oven exclusively for 3 hours and see how that goes. I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my email address again. So if you want to reach out to me, if you would like me to send you the link with my upcoming events, I can certainly do that, but I'm also going to drop that link up here as soon as this banner comes down. And it's the website where you can find more information about all of my upcoming events. My do-it-yourself workshops for different ritual wear as part of my ritual wear series, and my Balkan trance dance classes, kolo dancing, where we talk about the histories, cultures, and different aspects of how kolo has been used as a celebration ritual, a spiritual trance ritual, and a nervous system co-regulation practice for millennia, and is practiced in so many cultures around the world. So I'm really excited for all of those coming up, leading up to, again, Balkanalia on summer solstice. And then there will be more events, of course, afterwards. That's simply going to be a big, well, initiation as well. So there's lots of really cool things that are happening leading up to and moving beyond this summer solstice. And I'm really excited to share more of my culture and the things that I've been studying for years and years. And again, Soft Power has been such an amazing village, such an amazing church that has helped me to embrace and lean into my embodiment. And wow, are my ancestors thrilled. So I'm just going to lean in deeper. So yeah, if you have questions, if you have suggestions, if you have comments, drop them in the comments below, send them via the email. And if you want to show me some love, you can send me donations from the heart to my Venmo account, which is It's SYZYGY, ITS-SYZYGY. It's SYZYGY. And I'm accepting donations. I'm a working, educating artist, and I've been living with chronic illnesses for many, many, many years now, and not been able to work in the current contemporary job market for about 6 years between healing and all of the different things that were going on. So I appreciate any support that you want to show. And also, if you have not a fluff energetic exchanges, such as workshops that you're offering, or services, or art, all sorts of things, seeds for my region of the planet right now that I can grow. Let's talk about it. So we're literally at 59 minutes and a quarter. So thank you so much for sharing this hour with me, Merrick SYZYGY. I am so looking forward to future opportunities, and please look into following up to see what's coming up with more of the Earthenwear amulets and other things, such as Djirdan, which is happening in a couple of days for St. George's Day, and we'll be doing dragon energy healing rituals for people of Balkan and other dragon lineage descents. So this is closed to specific cultural practices, but I'll be dropping that link below, and maybe I'll see you there.